Hi everyone.
Hi,
Hi
everyone.
Alex. Ciao Giulia. All good?
All good.
Great. Okay. So maybe I would say that. What do you think? Let's start.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, perfect. So,
So,
okay, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of MobieTalk. My name is Laura Fornaroli, and I'm the marketing manager at MobieTrain. For those who may not know us yet, MobieTrain is the frontline platform used by brands across retail and hospitality to train, communicate with, and support their frontline teams during their daily shift. How? It's very simple. We use technology to make sure that those people will always get the information, the knowledge, the support that they need to make sure that they can create the best customer experience while keep on supporting the business growth. And that's also why a few years ago, let's say, we created MobieTalks, so a digital space where we invite expert professionals and people to talk about trend challenges, the future of retail and hospitality, and how technology can be used to make sure that we can really support those people on their daily job. Today, we'll be talking about scaling in the restaurant industry without losing the human side. So, how to successfully scale, how to keep teams aligned across multiple locations, why onboarding becomes one of the biggest operational challenges, and how to keep your people motivated. So, as you can see, I'm not alone, and we have a very special guest joining us today. But before introducing you, Alexa, I would like to mention something. So we also have Giulia, marketing specialist at MobieTrain. She will leave the conversation shortly and move backstage because, as you can see, we have a chat. And I'm inviting you all to use this chat to ask questions, share experience. So please don't be shy. So Giulia will take care of that.
yes, exactly. I'll be moderating the chat, so I will also ask you some questions to engage, but please feel free to ask any question to Laura, to Alex. There's your chance to really have an open conversation with the both of them. So I'll see you backstage, and guys, good luck.
Thank you so much, Giulia. Okay, so Alex, Chief Operating Officer at Salsa Shop, a very successful brand specializing in fresh Mexican kitchen. So I know you grew from 1 to 18 store in the Netherlands. I know that you're about to open a new one at Schiphol Airport and you're getting ready to scale internationally. So before we jump into the topic itself, I would love for you to tell us something more about your experience and Salsa Shop.
Well, I'm Alex. I'm from Lebanon. Originally moved to the Netherlands almost 10 years ago. And coincidentally, I started working for Salsa Shop. When I joined the company in 2017, we already had 4 locations in Amsterdam. And the 4 guys started Salsa Shop in 2014. So that means we're already here for 12 years. Yeah, that's a long time. Yeah. And looking forward for another at least to 20 years. So, yeah, the sky's the limit, as they say. Yeah, so when I joined Salt Shop, I was a store manager, but before that, I've been working in hospitality for many years. So now I can say I've been for almost 24 years in hospitality, and I've been doing this for a long time. I enjoy it. I love it. It has its sweet and bitter moments. Then when I joined the company, we only had 4 locations. Then we opened, yeah, the 56th up until the 11th, and then in 2020, COVID came, which was a big setback to I think all of us in the industry. That slowed down our growth, but at the same time also it changed our strategy. So after COVID, of course, there was the economical crisis. And then after that, it was the challenge on how to stay competitive in the market. Then in 2023, we changed our strategy. We completely turned around the brand. So we started doing a test of one rebrand, and then which worked. Of course, our focus is always product. So to serve the best burrito in town, and combined that with operational excellence and brand and marketing, then of course, yeah, that was the result why we started accelerating. We saw positive outcome out of it, and then we continued, of course, at the same time growing the number of locations. Today we have 18 restaurants. We already, as you mentioned, have a location in Schiphol Airport. That will be our first franchise location
Okay.
with Vermaat. I think it's a great collaboration with the team Vermaat, and for us, we don't franchise, so we own all the locations. And the reason why we did that, because we found that Vermaat and us have the same mindset, mentality, spirit in how we see hospitality and how we run the restaurants. And of course, we're opening a lot more locations in the Netherlands. Soon we'll be in a new city, which is in Haarlem. So that's the next Salsa Shop location, will be open in July. And there are many other locations on the map. And we're looking into growing internationally, where I cannot say yet, but
I didn't say anything about that. Huh?
it's okay. I know, but we're working very hard to conquer Europe. That's our mission and vision. We want to be the biggest Mexican chain in continental Europe. So
Of course, I mean, calling you from Italy, I would be very happy one day to go for a walk and to see Salsa Shop also here. I will be a huge fan of that. So I'm looking forward to that moment.
step by step, we'll get there.
But I'm looking forward to that moment. Okay, so you mentioned a lot of things that are super interesting. So maybe I'm not going to talk about them right now. We're going to mention them a bit after. But as you were saying, like you got the chance to start your career in Salsa Shop as a store manager. So you really got the chance to experience the daily life on the floor. And now you're getting, let's say, a more strategic point of view. So when we talk about hospitality, we know that it's a very competitive field. So a lot of things are changing. So we need to reshape ourselves and the strategy every time. And the thing is that when we're talking about scaling, we know that, I mean, that's the exciting part, but we know that that could be also a risk because you need to make sure that customer experience will be consistent everywhere, the team will be onboarded in the right way, and they will be able to create the same experience for everyone. So the question is, you got the chance to see this brand growing and scaling. How what are the biggest challenge, I would say, brands are facing when they're scaling, and how do you recognize when something is no longer working properly?
Well, to begin with, uh, I think every person that works in any company should know the company uh, inside out. So from washing dishes before even getting to sit behind the computer, right? How to know the restaurant from A to Z, right? That's how you get to know the business. Then each company or restaurant has its life cycle and has its stages. So that's really important to know. When you have 4 or 5 locations, it's different when you have 10, different when you have 15, when you have 20. It's a different game. So when you have 5 locations, you're focusing more on the day-to-day business, on the teams, the local teams, and this and that. And then the more you expand the number of locations, then you need to start thinking of consistency, because it's easier to control and to manage 4 or 5 locations. But once you start having 6 up to 10, and then up to 15, then you need to be like, okay, how can I fix that? And the most important thing here is people, right? You cannot do it if you don't have the right people and the right team. Then together, hand in hand, you need to have systems in place, because you can, let's say, find a lot of good managers, good team members in the restaurants, but if you don't have systems in place, structures, procedures, then it wouldn't be organized anymore. So at one point, when you reach, let's say, around 10 locations, that's when you need to think about, okay, how can you scale up a company, not only consistently and the systems in place, but also about speed and not losing that personal touch of keeping the company and the organization and the restaurant and the customers satisfied and giving them the same quality. So we did mention that we have 18 locations, but unfortunately, we did close approximately 4 salsa shops throughout the period, you know, and that was a conscious decision, not because those decisions were made purely based on financial reasons. Some were financially pulling us back, but some of the locations that we closed, 2 of them, were because of they were low volume restaurants. When you have a low volume restaurant, then the teams are no longer motivated, right? So then that means, in theory, you would expect if you have 5 customers for lunch that team member or manager is going to give them the best service, but that's not the reality. What happens is, because they're, I would say, a bit bored, so then you get less quality of service as a customer. Then that leads to a different customer experience. The team is not happy, so both the team and the customers aren't happy. So then you need to make the tough decision by saying, okay, we can keep this location, but strategically it's better if we close it down and then focus on locations that are performing better, where the team is happy and the customer is happy, and we can show what Salsa Shop is. So when you combine all this together, there's a lot of thought that needs to be put behind it, and you need to create processes, but you cannot lose the human touch.
Yes, I agree. And this is something that I wanted to mention because I remember during the conversation that we had during the MobieTalks, you actually told me about that. So we know that it's not only about losing consistency, but it's more about losing, you were mentioning, like the mindset, the spirit, so also the culture. And I would say also those kind of things that originally made, the first location very successful. And as you were saying, sometimes it's also a matter of making difficult decision, not only because of a financial perspective, but also because you can feel that when people are not motivated, so it's always about people, of course the customer experience will change.
It's
So
motivation, it's involvement, it's
yeah, involve exactly.
and when you start the business at the beginning, there's a lot of energy in the company, right? And how can you keep that energy? Because when the guys started Salsa Shop, I remember Louis used to be in the restaurants every day when we first had the 4 or 5 locations. Same with Steve and myself. But you cannot, at one point, you just cannot divide yourself
Exactly.
to those many locations to create that energy. So how can you make sure that the team that you hire, so it always starts from the people that you hire, right? You need to
Yes.
have the right people at the right time with the right mindset, that we're all an actual team. We're just not numbers in the company, right? That doesn't work like that, because it's hospitality. It needs to come from the heart. It's all about food, feeling, culture. So that needs to translate. And before it translates to the customer, it needs to translate in the team.
Mhm.
So, one of the things we always make fun of when I joined the company, we didn't have any systems, any SOPs, nothing, no manuals, no procedures, no recipe books. We were just cooking out of passion, out of love, and it was very beautiful. It was natural, But growing, you need to start putting those into systems. You need to organize it in order to make other people's life easy, right? Because we're a team. We cannot read each other's minds, but also it needs to stay fun. So how can you make sure that people that are working in hospitality, right? They are professional, but at the same time they're enjoying it and having fun at work, right? And that's
Yeah,
why that's where actually also where MobieTrain comes and plays a
yeah.
role in.
I mean, you're just anticipating the question that I was supposed to ask you right after this one. So I also remember that during the conversation that we had, you said something that totally stick to my mind. Like, people came before growth. It's not the opposite. So you really need to make sure that that kind of enthusiasm, passion that you have, of course, when you're starting a career in hospitality. So you're creating a brand, you're making sure that there will be a full team. You need to make sure that everyone that will join the team will get the same feelings every day. So the question is, how are you managing those processes by using technologies? Of course, in this case, we're talking about MobieTrain, but I'm curious to know about the system that you created. How did you evolve your onboarding process? So from getting the chance to sit together, having people joining you for lunch and so on, now with 18 location, of course, it's a totally different challenge.
It's all about the storytelling, right? Like when we hire our colleagues at Salsa Shop, right? We love to tell the story and the story how the Louis, Stephen, Turn and Floor, they started the company and how they build it and everything. It was very personal. So the onboarding itself, it becomes exciting, right? When you have one of the owners, when you have someone, the operation manager, just directly interviewing you and telling you the story, you get involved, you get excited, right? But the bigger the organization grows, you need to make sure uh, the people on site, which are our managers, right?
Hmm. Oh, we lost you for a second.
Oh, I'm back.
You're back.
Yes,
Uh,
sorry.
we know. Sometimes this can happen with the platform, so it's fine.
Okay,
I can
so
hear you, but I cannot see you.
okay, 1 second.
Yeah, yeah, don't worry.
Yes, here I am.
Okay, now you're back.
So as I was saying, it's about how can you keep that personal touch and the whole onboarding process still personalized, right? Because our managers, of course, they do their best and they're amazing at it, but what you realize is the bigger the organization becomes, the translation starts getting different because what happens, you know, the game when I tell you a message and then you have to give that message forward to the next person, the next and the next person, then the message gets, yeah, I say apple and at the end it comes out like a banana, you know.
Yeah.
So if you think about it like that, the chain is starting to become too long. Then the old fashioned way was we wrote books, we wrote manuals, and yeah, you need to constantly update those. That means you need to print them. Every change you do, you have to do it on site, or yeah, it's sometimes the books are updated in some locations, sometimes not. So there's a lot of mess there. That's where we decided to go digitalize it. So of course, the first thing is to do, you use SharePoint, use Microsoft, you use Google. It depends per company, right? You do it digital, but still, how can you make sure that people are engaged? And that's when I was looking for a platform that can put both the onboarding process and the engagement and the communication in one world. And that's where I came across MobieTrain. Exactly. So, and I remember I had my first conversation with Guy, and then my second conversation with Jesse,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
And
sure.
I was immediately sold and convinced is because first, before the platform come, the people that work behind the
Yes.
platform,
True.
right?
True.
If you click and connect those people, then you can make anything happen. When I onboarded MobieTrain almost 2 years ago, and today it's a different platform because you guys also facilitated our needs, right? It's a collaboration,
True.
and that's how our onboarding now is digital, where everyone gets to read and to know the same story directly from us. So now the message goes from, let's say, from Louis directly to the team, which is his brand, and from marketing directly to the team, from operations directly to the team. And when I say the team, I'm talking about 300 employees that we have. We're
Hmm.
not talking about, and you can, of course, in the platform create different layers, different permissions. But what's important is the message now comes directly from us. There is no mistranslation in communication. And not only that, you can upload videos. We can do a lot of things with MobieTrain that guys gave us access to that we didn't have. So now our team is a lot more engaged in the company. They get the newsletters, they get all the trainings through MobieTrain, And what we change is I will share on the platform is what we're doing now. What we realized is that, yeah, today the type of people that work in hospitality and the new generation, they just don't want to read. They don't like a lot of text. If you give them a manual,
That was another question because I'm going to add something on that because when we decide to create MobieTrain, so the idea behind the micro learning gamification is because we know that uh, you can learn the best when you're having fun. So this is how our brain works. So we wanted to make sure that people were actually able to get content whenever they prefer, while doing commuting, during a break. So that was the most important thing. Something that we noticed right now is that, of course, generation are changing. So now we're getting the Gen Z, and I mean, entering. They started a while ago, but they're more and more present there. So, how do you think technology can help you, like, getting the right way to communicate with those different generation?
you need to adapt. Like the hospitality is all about being able to adapt as you go. Like, it's constantly changing. It will never stand still. It's like fashion
Yeah,
point. You always need to be up on trend, and need to make sure to the old fashioned ways that they don't work. That's literally what I was heading at. The creating manuals, a lot of text, and just letting people read, go through it, and showing it to them one time, that doesn't work. People need to constantly be trained. They need to constantly be have access to a place where they can see how to do something, right? Let's say if someone wants to see how to make a burrito, I can show it to them one, two, three times. Some people can learn it from the first time, and some people need 10 times, right? How can you make sure to make that balance? First, you're mindful of your time and labor, right? Because you cannot constantly be training people. That's very cost heavy. Second of all, if you give them a book, okay, roll a burrito, fold the right side, the left side, and he's like, how is it going to happen exactly? So we changed our complete training into videos and short videos, like same like reels. We have
yes, sure.
60 second videos where it shows you how to make a burrito or a bowl or a taco or any ingredient or recipe or salsa we have. And then what happens is you have your own library. So whenever the team member wants to search, they go how to make a burrito, and then they find the video, they watch it, and then they kind of train themselves, right?
Yes.
And then we also do some fun quizzes. We do the top performer. There's some kind of gamification also in MobieTrain, which we definitely make use of. And what we do is we do team outings with those teams. Let's say we do competition between locations. So we definitely maximize the usage of MobieTrain as much as we go.
I have one question for you because I would say that because we're mentioning that, so this is also a recurring question that we're getting from, like, people that are looking for a solution, which could be MobieTrain or any other solution, because we know that it's important to leverage technology to support people. Like, how can you create this content? Are you creating the content yourself, or are you also involving your team in creating content?
Depends. So if it's a training video about how to make a recipe, it must come from either me or the person who does the recipes. But in
Yeah.
this case, it means Salsa Shop, right? Because you want every technique, every message to go directly from you to the team member, right? So all the chain. Can you imagine? I'm I'm here in the pyramid, and this is a team member, right? Because between me and them, there's the operation manager, a regional manager, location manager, assistant manager,
Yes.
shift leader, and team member. So if that training does not come directly from me, then that's what I meant with the translation. That's what you're going to get.
The game that we were mentioning earlier. I don't know how to translate it in English. In Italian, it's telefono senza fili. So
Yes,
without
exactly,
exactly that one.
exactly. So that's why those training videos come directly from me. So the content is done by me. I have a team. I have an amazing colleague, Lois. She is the one who does the shooting for me, the editing and everything. And then we need to make sure that it's also fun, right? That it literally like an Instagram channel. That's how you need to look at it. And then the team can find it. There's other material and content in there. So the person who wants to get the message, that's the person who should be responsible of creating this content. And last but not least, I just want to say what I notice in our field and industry is that operators, restaurant owners, or they're, I wouldn't say maybe they're afraid of change, but also it takes a lot of time to adapt. Like, it's easy today to sit here and talk about these videos, that, but it takes a lot of time. But it's a big investment, but it will pay off for a long time. So it's a one-off, but it will definitely pay for in the long term.
Yeah, you were mentioning like we need the long-term game.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, I'll go back to something that we mentioned at the very beginning because I noticed that we have a question from Renko. So while you were talking about your experience at Salsa Shop, you mentioned that, I mean, hospitality is always changing. So you need to adapt, you need to change your strategy, making sure that things that were actually working in the past will keep on working. And that means being like very flexible. I'm going to show the question. Let me try again. Okay. So Rancom is saying, you mentioned a change in strategy. What was your first strategy and what is now?
The first strategy was let's go, 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 grow, grow, grow. Right? That was the very first one.
Very
And
clear.
and then the second strategy was you need to go slow to go fast. So that's what I meant. Each company has its life cycle, right? And then each stage. So when we're at 11, 12, 13 locations, we just went bum, 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 bum. But at one point, you need to take a small pause and this, make sure that your base is still strong to grow. Because when we open a restaurant, the base is the product. Let's not make it too complicated. We open a restaurant because we love food. I want to sell my burritos. I make sure I have the best burritos and I sell them. So how can I get the most burritos to the most customers, right? So then you just go expansion, opening locations. But then you're like, okay, that's where you need to go slow to grow fast. Is you need to step back, make sure that are you serving the right burrito in all the locations. So that's the change in strategy. Once you make sure you're constantly stabilizing that and growing at the same time, that's what needs to be, and that's the change of strategy. The strategy will always change. You have different layers of strategy. There's the biggest strategy that we want to conquer Europe. We want to be the biggest Mexican chain in Europe. Of course, that stays there. That's the big goal, right? But how can you get there? So throughout the way, there's different layers of strategy and how to achieve that. And of course, you need to be adaptive because you can see, right, the world is every day is changing. I think we all realize how difficult it is today. It's unpredictable. uh, Things can change from one day to another. That's why you need to always plan 10 steps ahead. You need to have a backup plan. Okay, what if this bad goes, what if that happens? So do you have a strategy per location? Definitely. There's an expansion strategy. So first choosing the location before even getting it.
A question or did you read it?
Yeah, I read the question.
Okay, I'm going to show it on stage so also the other people can see it.
So the question from Remco is, do you also have strategy per location? Yeah, definitely. For example, we have a city center location. We have a location that is more in the living area. That is it's more based on delivery and locals and on tourists. So definitely, trust me, there's so many layers of strategy that we can go like 2 hours talking about it.
Okay, we have a new topic for the next movie tour, so be ready for that. I'll reach out to you again so we can talk about like how to set up the right strategy for every location. Okay, now we were talking about like inconsistency, and we know that sometimes this may happen. And usually, before business numbers show a problem, we know that people start feeling the inconsistency first. We know that communication change, operation become harder to manage, teams start working different, and of course, the customer experience is changing. I have one question for you that we actually received by some people that are reading our newsletter. And the question is that what are the very first warning sign that tell you that something is starting to break inside the customer or employee experience?
Yeah, well, it's really funny because when we had our call last time, we talked about this. If 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 you reach that level, it means you're already too late. If you reach to the stage, the step where you're like, oh, it's breaking, it means you didn't plan, you didn't strategize on time, and then you're too late. And to fix it takes a lot longer, and that's why you need to invest a lot of time upfront to make sure you don't reach to that point. And this is where the strategical thinking in our industry needs to come, and it is improving as we go forward. But yes, it's about serving the best burrito. But do you have the right people? Are you giving them the right tools, the right education, the right path, the right support? That's where it all comes from. So when we hire at Salsa, right, our aim is not to hire the most experienced people. No, you want to hire people who have the commitment, the dedication, that they want to be there, they want to do it, they want to be part of the team. If you get that spirit, you can teach anyone, and that's why I can teach. As I say, I can teach everyone how to roll a burrito, but I cannot teach people how to be respectful and positive and happy. That's something that comes from within you. So it always starts from the hiring process, and then the rest. I say it's easy. It is because you have a lot of tools and techniques and methods on how to teach people. And if he wants to learn how to cook, and it's going to be super easy. But if he or she are just there just because they have to be there, then yeah, I prefer not to have someone who feels that they're forced there just because of this. And then what you said is, how can you keep them motivated, right? You want to repeat trainings, and if you do the training in a boring way, at one point they're like, listen, I've been here 3 years, I'm going to have to do the exact same training all over again and again and again. Okay, how can you change that? How can you make them motivated, more engaged, involved? And we have a lot of, if you see our social channels, we have a lot of our team that they're always involved. We have a community. That's how we look at it. Although we're at 18 locations, 300 employees, but we all know each other. Once a month, we all come together. We go out together. We eat and drink together, and we share our stories together.
And yeah, exactly. So, and I would say that I think that this is bringing us to a very important point, because today we talk about like technology, operation, processes, scaling, and of course, something that was always getting back was people. We've been talking about people a lot: motivation, spirit, mindset, hiring people for their mindset instead of, let's say, for their skill. I would say that this is something that should be applied to a lot of different industry. I totally agree that it's better to get people because of their mindset, motivation, instead of just for the, let's say, the art skill. And there is something that you said during the, let's call it, our preparation call, that honestly really stayed with me. So we're now in a phase where I would say we're hearing a lot of conversation about technology, how technology, and we can mention, like, for example, AI should really support people, but we're also getting a lot of news of AI being used, of course not in hospitality but in other industry, to actually replace people. Okay, and this is a huge topic. We know that sometimes this is happening. Of course, when it comes to hospitality, we know that the relationship between people is crucial. There's no way to give a great customer experience without getting those people welcoming you and making sure that your experience there would be the great. And this is something that you mentioned during the conversation, and you say we're all human, so we are all getting our, let's say, up and down moments. So there are people that maybe sometimes they're going through something. It's not possible to give our very best 100% every day. So especially when you have like so many location, and of course the team, it's like you're not getting the chance to sit together with them. How are you making sure that they will feel appreciated, supported, that you can really show up for those people even when they're in, let's say, in the a low moment?
Look, uh, first of all, to cut there are many
Yes.
questions. Between AI and us, it's not a competition. That's what we need to understand, right? AI is a tool to help us to make our lives easier, but
Mhm.
it will replace certain tasks, but
Mm,
it cannot replace people. Like,
I agree.
oh, yes, there's robots. You can see already robot chefs. You can see a lot of automated things. But at the end of the day, I think in a lot of cultures, again, food is about feelings, right? And a
Yeah, yeah.
robot
It was
cannot.
let's say there are some industries where we can see this is happening. I would say, luckily in hospitality, we still understand the real value behind people and the
But
human interaction.
but 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 this is the most important thing. I am a very well user of AI and technology and data. We should definitely have another session about that, also that
Yeah.
topic, strategy. But it needs, we work in hospitality in this industry because of the love for food, customer service, and just the whole culture behind it, right? So we love that. How can I make sure that I'm growing my company, right, without making my teammates or team members bored? For example, let me give you an example. Huh? It's another MobieTrain, but another example. Making schedules, right? You're going to make a schedule for an entire month. You're going to sit behind your computer one by one, make your forecast, make this, work that. Well, this is where AI helps a manager, right? Once you have a data center where you're putting all your data in and you put your AI on top of it, and then the AI tells you, hey, listen, Laura has this availability, Alex has that, blah, 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 based on forecast, based on weather. Here you go. This is the template. Then
Yes.
the manager, instead of spending 3, 4 hours trying to break his head to do that, he can actually do it in 5, 10, 15 minutes.
It's
Then he can go
empowering.
back. Then he can go back, enjoy what he's doing, which is cooking. So I don't want the manager to spend time behind his computer or in the office or running numbers. Yes, they are interested. Yes, they care about the business, but their love and their passion is about the customers, about the food, about that. So we need to utilize AI in the right way, and it will never replace that type of service. And that's why at Salsa Shop, I definitely want to highlight this. We have two flows in our restaurants. You can either order at the kiosks, which is the digital channel, but that's why we're building all our new restaurants with two counters. One counter that services kiosks, and one counter that just services people who want to walk to the counter, have a chat, build a meal, like the old-fashioned way, like we used to do it, 3, 4 years ago, because we have now kiosks almost for 3 years, right? Then you can just go to the counter to my colleagues and then be like, hey, I would love to have a burrito. I want the rice, I want the beans, I want the fiery salsa in there, and I want the shredded beef, and then extra guacamole, right? And then my colleague will be like, don't you want the lemonade? And he's like, yeah, I don't know. Today, I don't want to spend too much. And then my colleague is gonna be like, you know what? You're a regular. This is a lemonade on the house. That's what hospitality is about, right? Yes, we want to sell products, we want to make money, but it's also about, if I know a customer, we have customers seriously that have been loyal. I know them up until today, 8, 9 years. I see them in the restaurant, right? When I see him, we're like friends. That's not a customer relationship anymore. It's more we're buddies. And I go and I give him cookies and drinks, and we catch up how his work is, how's the family and whatnot, what for. So that is never going to change.
Yeah.
We need to make sure also that that stays, because that's why we like to go out to talk with people. If you just want to buy food to buy food, you can always go to the supermarket, right? Get something quick, and then go home. So that's the AI part. Then you ask something about the people. How can we
Yeah,
make
exactly.
the
That's we
people?
cannot expect people to be every time at their very like 100%.
That's really important. As I said, we are not robots, right? We're human beings. We have feelings. We have our up and down moments. Uh, that's where, again, I'm referring to how you hire people. So my operation manager needs to have my same values, right? The same values that I and the team have, that we care about people, that when someone is down, we go, we help, and we support them. Same applies for our regional managers and our location managers. And whenever each one of us is having that down moment, even if sometimes I personally wouldn't maybe recognize it, but then my operation manager would be like, hey, listen, Alex, Laura is not in a good mood. She's not having a good time. Then I would go have a chat with you and vice versa. There is no hierarchy. We're all here for each other. We need to support each other. And never forget when I was on at my 100%, sometimes I don't get compliments, right? Sometimes I'm like, uh, my colleagues, I'm too busy and I don't say thank you, great job, or this. But then when someone is at their 50, 60%, we make sure to address that, be like, hey, what's happening? You're slacking, you need to pick up. You need to make sure to find the right balance between these two, right? And how you can keep them motivated and supporting them. Because they, when my employees are giving me the 120%, I really love it and appreciate it. But also when they are at their 60%, I need to be there for them. And not only me, the entire team needs to support them.
All clear. So I think that we totally cover like all the topic, and I totally agree that yeah, technology should be used to make sure that you can really empower your people and making sure that they can really experience the hospitality as it should be. So everything that you were saying, like by getting to know your customer, providing them with both chance. So using the technology or to interact with people, it's very important. So I don't know if we have any other question. Maybe I'm just calling to Julia. If we have any question that maybe we got from like newsletter or so on, we can share it. If not, uh, we recorded this MobieTalks. So we're usually getting like people that are registering for the MobieTalks. They're not showing up, but they're always asking for the recording. So after the MobieTalks, we're going to upload the video. You will find it on our YouTube channel, but we'll also send a recap email. Alex, is there anything else that you would like to share with the people that are listening to this MobieTalks?
Well, first of all, MobieTrain does more than just onboarding and
Yeah.
training and communication. I also use it for internal auditing system. It's really nice. I definitely recommend it to everyone. And not only the platform itself, it's amazing. The people behind it are also amazing. So I want to say thank you to the entire team of MobieTrain for all the support, the constant support that you guys give us. And don't be afraid of change and go for it. Spend time, update your systems, your files to what it is, and I promise you, you're going to benefit from it.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for this.
everyone.
It was a huge pleasure, and of course, we'll speak each other very soon.
Yes,
Thank you for everyone who joined the MobieTalks. If you have any questions, if you want to know more about Alex and Salsa Shop, if you want to know more about MobieTrain, of course, we're here and we will get back to you with more details. Have a great day and enjoy your lunch break.
thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.